What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one. And I just watched a movie called Quiet Place 2, starring Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, Millicent Simmons, and I can't forget John Krasinski. He wasn't a huge part of the sequel, but he was still a huge part of this franchise. First of all, take a journey with me to the Quiet Place franchise, or take my journey, okay? When I first heard about this Quiet Place Part 1, I noticed that it's a PG-13 horror movie. Okay, now anybody knows how I feel about PG-13 horror movies. I don't like them. I don't like them. I need my blood. I need the killing. I need to hear it. I need to see it in order to get this adrenaline rush from watching it. And the only other PG-13 movie that I've ever enjoyed as of these recent years has been Split, for multiple reasons, pun intended or not. Okay, there's reasons I can't go into that right now, but that got the pass from me. So when I first watched Quiet Place, I was skeptical. But not only did the concept get me, with not being able to talk or anything like that. That was a first. That was a first. It was also the emotion, the acting, the plot, all that was superb. I still gave it an eye cool because I felt like it really needed to be topped off with an R rating. Okay. So now we have Quiet Place 2. And my question is, will Quiet Place 2 be as good or better than Quiet Place 1? Does it deserve that hell yeah that Quiet Place 1 didn't get? We're about to get into that. Let's go. Quiet Place 2. For those who don't know, for those who are not aware, let's cut the crap. Let's cut the crap. Just not do this. Millions of people were waiting for this sequel to come out. They loved Quiet Place 1. Loved it. So if you're saying that you don't know about this movie, you live in a bunker. You live in a bunker right now since Y2K was a threat. All right. Quiet Place 2. Pretty much starting off before Quiet Place 1 even happened. All right. And it lets you know how this all came to be, with the fire in the sky at a baseball game. They see this, they panic, they run. All right. Fast forward after the events of Quiet Place 1 to the present. The family's walking out of their house on their journey, on their new adventure. Got to find out how to keep this baby sedated, the new baby they have in their family, so it won't keep crying and whining, and the knowing won't happen. Okay? And while all this is going on, they bump into an old friend they knew before all this took place. All right. And there are some trust issues between both parties. Okay. And they have to gain that trust throughout the movie, all while running from these sound sensitive aliens. And that's the premise of the movie. Positives. This movie wasted no time before it brought back that emotion that it had from part one. Let's just say something happens to one of the kids. Not going to say which one. That when this happens, as soon as this happens, that kid looks down and they don't realize how much pain they should be in until they see the pain they should be in. Okay. And it was almost humorous because it was just the look they gave, the facial expression when they found out. And then there was the scream. The scream I felt, that whole theater had to feel it. This had me squinching up in my chair, had me balling up in my chair, because I knew once they screamed like that, what was going to happen next. Knowing these creatures. All right. But I still felt that pain. I felt, even though I've never had it happen to me, I felt what that character was going through somehow. And I just couldn't bear it. I couldn't even bear that. Like, oh, who knows this pain? Who knows this pain but a few people? Okay? When you see what I'm talking about, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it was stuff like that. And the feeling of mistrust and betrayal and the fear of being betrayed in this movie that kept me going. It was all heartfelt throughout this film. All right. It was stronger. This feeling, this emotion was stronger than part one. I felt it. I felt that it was way more than part one. So I loved all that. I love when movies make me feel a certain way that I didn't think I was going to feel, because that came out of nowhere and I was already like, yo, heart beating. Empathy, guys. Loved it. Second positive. This movie kept the same formula it had from part one. Okay. There was no decision made to, oh, you know, what we did in part one, let's not do that. Let's have them talk now. But then something, no. They didn't do any of that. Thank goodness, because if it's not broke, don't fix it. It was that quiet. It was that silence in part one that really won it over for me. Okay? That won it over for me as far as it did. The fear of when you hear a sudden loud noise, heart starts to beat, because now you're wondering what's going to happen next. You know what this means. You know what the consequences are going to be, but you don't know how it's going to take place, or if people are going to suffer for these consequences. So that brings in a lot of risks with a crying baby and a deaf daughter who cannot hear a noise. There was a lot of risks with this movie, and still there are in part two. They didn't change any of that. It was the same old feeling from part one. I love it when they stick to the script. I love it when they stick to the script. Don't get fancy on me. Don't get fancy on me. Keep making that good film you always make. Okay? That's what I like. That's what I like. And it had that. It had just that. My third positive for this, the daughter. Now, yes, in Quiet Place 1, the daughter was extremely hard-headed. To the point where, because of some of the actions she made, some people suffered. Some things happened that could have been avoided in part one. I'm not going to go into detail if you haven't seen part one or not. Okay. But we know what happened. We know what happened. And so now we have part two, and years have passed. Lots of years have passed. She's had time to get smarter. She's had time to be pretty much a warrior by now. Braver than what she was in part one. And I respect that. Because she has grown to be that woman. I'm not sure what age she is. That's another confusing thing, but in her IMB, it says that she's 18 years old in real life. I'm guessing she's supposed to be that old in the movie. Not sure, but she's very mature for whatever. And so she's the warrior her dad was. And I'm going to say something that I need for people who have never seen part one. You need to fast forward to the negatives right now. Okay? And also, why are you watching part two reviews if you haven't seen part one? But that's not here. Look, fast forward right now, okay? Fast forward, good. You know that her dad passed away in part one. Dad was gone. Dad's gone, okay? The man and the character that he was somehow transcended into her in part two. That's how I feel. That was also mentioned in the movie. That she's as brave as her dad was. And you can see that. She's still a little hard-headed. I'll get into that in a minute. Don't worry. But she's also a female version of her dad. Clear and through, cut through. Okay, so I could feel that. I saw it. I saw with how strong she was, and it's sad that the son is so timid. He's so timid. I didn't like the son's character. Okay, but I didn't hate the son's character, but why is it that in these movies the son and the father can equally be brave? The dad has to be a brave guy, but the son has to be timid and weak. Or the dad is a coward, but the son is a hero. They can never be both. So, of course, they give this to the daughter. But she played that out very well. So much development within her character. I loved it. Okay. Now, let's get to those negatives. First negative. I had an issue with the decisions made by the daughter and the mother. All right. The mother, they run into this guy. They knew him from back in the day, but they have trust issues with him. Now we know the daughter's being hard-headed. She's like that in part one. More in part one. And so the daughter decides to go off on her own. She's told by the son, if you do this, I will tell mother. Anyways, tattletale. I'll tell mother. And so he does. And the mother makes a decision to tell the man, their man friend, you need to prove your trust and go get her right now. What? This guy you barely trust? Where's your mother instincts? Where's your motherly instincts? Any mother would have been like, screw this. I'm going out and I'm getting my daughter. Son, come on, get the baby. Let's go. Let's go. No, I'm not depending on this man. I barely knew from my husband or whatever, her husband, knowing him back in the day or whatever. No, why would you do that? That's not acceptable. Bad decision. And the daughter not telling her mother at least of her plan that she was going to make. Instead of just being hard-headed on purpose and running out there and doing that. I didn't like any of those decisions, and it had me upset and irritated with the both of them through a majority of the movie for that decision. Second negative. I only got a few of these. The aliens were never really dwelled into as far as why they are there still. We saw the flashback. That showed you how they got there. Not really. It didn't even show you in detail how they got there, really. It just showed them, the fire in the sky, whatever. So were they thrown down on Earth? Were they in a fight? What other weaknesses do they have besides sound? Or what's their purpose? What about these aliens? What about them? That was not explained. So I have issue with that. I have issue with that. I need to know more. I need to know a lot more. Which makes me feel that there might be a part 3. Hopefully. But I need to know more about these aliens. There's so much unexplained stuff. Still, I'm giving this a hell yes. Yes, okay. Part 2 is better than part 1. Letting you know that right now. Quiet Place 2 is better than Quiet Place 1. You heard it here first. That emotion is stronger. I felt tied in deeper with these characters than I did in part 1. This actually gets to hell yes. It surpassed the fact that it's a PG-13 horror movie. The second one to do it within these years. Congratulations. Okay, I need you to press that like button. Share this if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll be back.